On this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone, we're gonna do a very interesting one. We got AEW Dynamite and all the events that New Japan Pro Wrestling had, from Summer Struggles to Jingu, and of course, the road to Fighting Spirit Unleashed. So get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. I'm your host J-Rod here, all things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, wrestlers, and championships, the whole shebang. So before I start reviewing every event that took place, starting from last Thursday with AEW all the way to New Japan stuff, want to give you guys a friendly talk before I go. As you know, recently with AEW and NXT, they pretty much did a pretty good job, even when they're not in good competition. Now, it proves another factor that many fans don't understand. Now, for you WWE fans that go out and talk about trash, saying AEW is full of trash, they'll never succeed as WWE, that may be true, but they have been successful, not only in the ratings, but also in viewership. Even though these past couple weeks, it's been proven that even if they're not head-to-head on the same day, they can find success, without colliding. It's now been proving that fans either like one or the other, or they like or the other, or both. So it's proven now that it's been talked. Do you guys want to see AEW at another time slot? Because for me, it probably could work. But frankly, the only reason this happened with AEW and NXT being face to face, Vince McMahon is trying to divert fans to not pay attention to AEW, but frankly, it's not working at the way it has. AEW has proven they are successful in the 18 to 49 demographic rate and all this, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can do, but I hope AEW continues to succeed no matter what. I'm happy for that. Hope you guys are. But right now, let's get started with AEW Dynamite. Alright, so AEW Dynamite, it was started last Thursday. As you know, finally AEW has fans. Actual fans. Even though they still got the same routine with the wrestlers being in ringside watching this. Now, you probably ask yourself some of these questions that you ask. Wait a minute, why is AEW have brought in fans? Was that a problem? Yes, there's a problem. But I'll explain to you guys that at the end of the episode about the whole thing. Now, as soon as we see the fans, Jericho's music shows up, Judas, and of course the fans sing along to it. That's something that's been missing the entire time. But it was good. First match of the night was that tag team gauntlet. Now, the winners of this gauntlet will face Kenny Omega and Hangman Page for the AEW World Tag Team titles at All Out on September 5th. First team to compete is the Young Bucks and the Natural Nightmares. Now, this was a pretty good match, I have to say. A bit more faster, but it proven how the story was progressing at all. I personally enjoyed how they were going with this one in particularly. So I have to say I liked the match. This started with the Bucks and the Natural Nightmares. I think it was pretty good. These teams are the ones that are completely in the board. To face and be in the rankings, the top 5. And then as soon as the Bucks defeated the Natural Nightmares, they faced the Best Friends. Now this is where it gets interesting. There were some great moments for Best Friends against the Young Bucks. Looks like the Bucks were about to win this one, but out of nowhere, here comes Hangman Page trying to stop Nick from pulling off the Meltzer driver. And if you recall a week ago, the FTR were trying to convince Saying that they prefer to face someone who familiarized. And all this happened, even Matt and Nick could not believe what Hangman did. And later on in the evening, they confronted him, telling him that he's nothing but a drunk, that they put a good word for him, and all they needed was a friend, not someone that do this. And of course, Hangman is now officially out of the Elite. So basically, it's still conflicting what's going on with Hangman. So basically, now that he's gone, that only leaves the Bucks and Kenny. And of course, I looked up to it. It turns out Cody's still with the Elite, but it's still unclear what their status is with him. So that's how it ended. Next thing we see is Darby Allin giving like a little message to Ricky Starks that he hasn't forgotten what happened last time. So their feud is far from over. Next match we have is Lance Archer versus Sam Maluta, who is one of the Wild Samoan Sons. This one was like, I wasn't too much sold on it, but if you guys want to know, it's Lance Archer who won. But the post match is where it gets interesting. They already announced for All Out for the 21-man Battle Royale. So basically, it's the same old routine we've seen. But what happened next, that of course Lance Archer could be one of those guys that could actually throw out many opponents out. But however, someone had something to say about that. That person was Taz, who came along with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. So basically, this is a feud like Taz believes that Brian Cage or Ricky Starks have the capability to win the Battle Royal to get a shot of the AEW World Championship that's currently held by Moxley, but we'll see how that goes. I'll get to that in a bit. But as soon as the whole thing was going on, here comes Darby Allin making a beeline to Ricky Starks to finish what happened the last time. If you recall, Ricky Starks dressed up like Darby Allin to get in his head, but basically it was becoming payback for them. Next thing we see is sort of a contract signing or a review of the feud between Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa. As you know, it's already been set that Thunder Rosa, who is the current NWA Women's World Champion, will face against AEW's Women's World Champion, Hikaru Shida. This is going to be one of those matches you know it's going to set up on fire. That's something you cannot miss whatsoever. But we got to see that. So we're not that close to the final day before we go to All Out. So we'll see where they're going to go with that. Then we jump in with the contract signing. Now, let's go back to what happened. A couple weeks ago, ever since MJF called out Moxley, he was a dictator, that he is not a real champ. He doesn't care about the people, that he is the true man who deserves to lead the company into the future. Of course, Moxley has no problem with that. He can see that in him. But all of a sudden, Moxley was in a match against Darby Allin. He nearly lost the match thanks to MJF, but it backfired. And then MJF continues with his little rants and talk about all this in MJF, about Moxley. He comes, Moxley's music gets hit. Everybody from the campaign try to go to the entrance to the halls where he comes in, but Moxley outsmarted them, and he snuck up from behind and took out MJF, and of course paradigm shifted. And a week later, they said that the paradigm shift was a deadly move that could barely paralyze. MJF was being dramatic about saying that he could never play with his kids if he ever had any, all this and that. So he made the official contract to have Moxley sign it. The paradigm shift is officially banned from All Out for their match. But however, MJF was not too worried. Moxley was not too worried about the whole thing, because the way I see it is this. If you guys recall, not too long ago, there was a match between Brian Cage and Moxley. Taz made a technical, opinion about Moxley applying the paradigm shift to Cage, and basically, maybe he was right about that. That the paradigm shift was going to be impossible to block. But however, Moxley did state it. He was going after the arm, the injured arm that Brian Cage had. Now, what makes MJF so 100% certainty that without the paradigm shift that he's going to win? Moxley will figure something out. Basically, Mo- MJF is fueling Moxley to give him a better arsenal. And if he's unsuccessful to beat MJF for this, well, if MJF's unsuccessful to beat Moxley, well, that's his fault. But the best part is, after he signed it, they all thought he was an idiot, that he was stupid, that he had no idea what he was doing. But unaware to them, there was an extra page indicating that there's going to be a tune-up match where Moxley will be facing against the Attorney. So basically, he had no clue about that, and of course he said that if he doesn't wrestle him this coming Wednesday, then MJF will not get his title shot. So basically he outsmarted them, saying that legally now, for this particular match against him and the lawyer, the paradigm shift is legal. So MJF could not believe that happened. So he thought the Moxley was a total numbskull, that he's not smart enough, but somehow he outsmarted MJF and the Attorney. So that's his own fault for assuming that. Next thing we see is the continuation of the rivalry between both best friends and Santana and Ortiz. If you all recall, they destroyed Trent's mom's van. So we may see their payback, this little fight, take place this Wednesday, so you cannot miss it whatsoever. Next thing we have is a 8-man tag team match. First team that come out was Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela, versus Lucha Brothers, The Butcher and the Blade, with Eddie Kingston. So this is like a new stable faction. Now it's still unclear what's going on, but this has becoming one of those stable factions that may be coming out. We don't know for sure. But I like how this one went, where we're seeing more of the Butcher and the Blade along with the Lucha Brothers being more of a cohesive team. And of course they won that match, and Kingston was very happy how it turns out. But it's still unclear what is Eddie Kingston's real agenda. You know, that's one of those things that we've always seen with him. Next thing we see is the Dark Order comes out celebrating the fact that Mr. Brody Lee defeated Cody, saying that the Nightmare family is destroyed, introducing Anna Jay as the Queen Slayer after she took out Brandy Rhodes. All this and that. There was still no update on Cody Rhodes. Him, what's his status after that brutal beating that Brody Lee gave him a week ago. And all of a sudden, here comes QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes, for some payback for what they did to Cody. Even though the numbers were gained, here comes Scorpio Sky, tried to throw in a little fight. If you recall, weeks ago, Mr. Brody kind of showed up while after their match that Cody and Sky had. And it's when that wasn't enough, here comes Mark Cadorna taking out Evil Uno and the rest of the Dark Order. And once everybody was taken out from the Dark Order, Mr. Brody was not too thrilled or happy to see that the Natural Nightmares and Scorpio Sky are still standing, even though here comes Matt Cardona. Now, if you guys ask yourself, is Matt Cardona now with AEW? That is still no 100% sure. We do know he's set to appear for 5 appearances. So this is number 3. So he has 2 more. So we do know he will now appear teaming with the Natural Nightmares, QT and Dustin, along with Scorpio Sky, the face, the Dark Order, Mr. Brody, Cole Cabana, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson. So it will be at All Out, and I can't wait to see that. So hold on a second. Next match is a little handicap match that was set up by Penelope Ford. No, by Britt Baker. As you know, her rivalry with Big Swole keeps going out, saying she's a role model. So is she able to get Reba and Penelope Ford to be in the match to take out Big Swole as much as possible? But however, if Big Swole was able to win, she makes the stipulation. It nearly worked, even though my favorite moment is when Big Swole knocked out Kip Sabian for getting in her way. But accidentally, Rebel knocked out Penelope Ford with the clutches that that Britt Baker had in her possession, and allowing Big Swole to win. The stipulation is yet to be determined, so there's still no announcement. Now then we see out of nowhere Dark Order members Uno and Stu Grayson, along with Anna Jay, with some sort of a contract, and they approach Tay Conti, who in fact was Anna Jay's tag team partner at the Women's Tag Team Cup. It appears that they're offering an invitation to her to join the Dark Order. It's still not 100% how exactly if she is going to accept, but of course she's becoming very close to Anna Jay. So the Dark Order are gaining in numbers. Now the main event was the tables match between Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. Now if you guys noticed, some things were not right with Matt. I don't know if he's still disoriented from the tables match, but the match was pretty insane, if I say so myself. But it resulted with Matt winning. But out of nowhere, as soon as with Sammy winning, here comes Orange Cassidy making a beeline to Jericho, revenge for trying to drown him in a bit of the bubbly. And they continue with their beatdown. Referees try to separate them, but it's not going to happen. So the rivalry has become so intense. So this is far from over between Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. So that's pretty much it. So right now we're going to end it here. Let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed New Japan Pro Wrestling's events they had. We had 2 days of Summer Struggles, which is the tour before they go to Jingu. So right now let's jump in with August 26th. First match was the Young Lions along with Yuji Nagata. We had Yuya Imura and Yota Tsuji facing off against Chaos members, the never open weight 6-man tag team champions of Chaos, Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroki Goto. So this one was a pretty good match, not to mention, I know we have been seeing a bit of Yuya and Tsuji teaming, but however, they were unable to be successful against Chaos, and they picked up the victory. I wasn't too much sold on this, but even though it looks good, you know, to see Yoshihashi as a champion. And the next match we had is an 8-man tag team match. We had Master Wato, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, Kota Ibushi, and Hiroshi Tanahashi facing off against Suzuki Goons, Taichi, Kanemaru, Doiki, and Zack Sabre Jr. You all know Kanemaru has issues towards Master Wato because he's becoming more recognizable. As for Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., they're trying to convince Kota Ibushi to dump Tanahashi. They respect Kota's abilities, but they don't trust the idea that he's with a guy like Tanahashi, who he's a veteran, that he's done, his reputation's over. But of course, Kota is idolized, you know. But this match was pretty good as well. They picked up the victory, Wato, Ibushi, Tenzan, and Tanahashi. So basically, we're getting close to when we get to Jingu, where Master Wato is facing against Kanemaru. And of course, the Golden Ace, Ibushi and Tanahashi facing off Suzuki Goons, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. Next match we have is Desperado. This one was part of the 4-way match that's going to take place for the King of Pro Wrestling trophy. That was the brainchild of Kazuchika Okada. First match they had is Desperado versus Satoshi Kojima. Now here's the thing. Each of these matches had a stipulation, exactly. The stipulation is not to use the lariat, which is like a clothesline type of a maneuver. Basically, that's always been like that. But Satoshi has looked more like he was going to win the match, but however, he lost control and he used the lariat and disqualified himself from the match, allowing Desperado to win. So I don't know what Satoshi was thinking, but it cost him the match, like entirely the way it happened. Next match we had Bushi versus the comic Toriano. Now, I knew what Bushi was capable of, but believe me, I did not expect how Toru Yano was going to play this game out. But he got away with it. Toru Yano got away with this match completely. Now you ask yourselves, how's that possible? He did the same thing in many of tournaments before in the past. It wouldn't be the first time. You know, he's a master trickster. That's what he is. He's a comic dude. You know, but Bushi cannot believe that he lost towards Toru Yano, and that's how it happened. Next match for the KOP is Sanada versus Sho. This one was an amazing match between. Now you ask yourself, like, why is Sanada a heavyweight facing off a guy like Sho? Well, we do have seen Sho and Yo have been competing in heavyweight division matches. They even faced off against the Girls of Destiny. But Sho has proven that he could maybe down the line in the future transition into the heavyweight division. But it's still unclear what's going on with what's going to happen now if his partner Yo is unable to compete due to the injury. Then there's a chance that Sho and Yo could lose the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. But the match was great. I wasn't sure exactly how this would come out, but I'll come out and say it. Sanada win with putting him in a submission. I feel like Sanada should be ready to push, but I give Sho a lot of credit for what he has put onto this match. The next match is a three-way match, a 3-on-1 match for the KOP trophy. This one is the intense rivalry between both Kazuchika Okada, along with Bullet Club members Yujiro Takahashi, Geto, and Yado. Now, if you guys haven't followed the rivalry between those two, it was Yujiro Takahashi who cost Okada the title to AJ Styles a couple years ago. Yujiro hasn't forgotten what he did, so he got into his head. It's the same thing that he did to him the last time when he was facing against Evil at the New Japan Cup. But at the same time, Geto was also getting in his head. So basically, it became on 3-on-1 scenario. They've been going back and forth with this rivalry. But Okada gave them an offer they couldn't refuse. He decided to give them a number advantage. So basically, they were in fact willing to accept it. But however, they were trying to get a lumberjack match. But the problem is, where Okada's going to run? He's not going to run anywhere. He was going to face them off. So it became a 3-on-1 match. But it showed a lot of determination, how strong Okada is. And I have to say, he proved it. Even if Yujiro, Geto, and Yado think he's still that same old loser that he lost to Kenny Omega, but it didn't happen that way. So Okada became one of the 4 members to be part of the 4-way for the KOPW match. Took place in Jinju, so we'll get to that as soon as possible. So right now, let's move on to the next day on August 27th. Okay, we're continuing more with Summer Struggles to the Road of Jinju. So, first match we had is the Young Lions, Yuya Emura versus Yota Tsuji. As you know, these guys have been partners. They've been, one-on-one competition in the past. But sometimes watching the Young Lions is pretty good to watch. If you guys are new to the channel, if you guys ask yourself, what are the Young Lions? These are wrestlers that are trained. Originally, they call them young boys because they're learning the methods from the trainers. Basically, they're limited to use certain moves. If you are already have experience, but you want to learn the ways of New Japan, you have to play by their rules. So that's always been like that for them. So this match was alright, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of like voting for Yuya Uemura because I think he's pretty impressive in my personal opinion. But however, it was Yota Tsuji who won. I was like, okay. Tsuji has always been, been showing up a lot. I've been seeing these being more recognizable too as a tough young lion. So he won the match. Next match, we have a 6-man tag team match. first team is Tomoiki Homna, Yuji Nagata, and of course Satoshi Kojima versus the never open weight 6-man tag team champions Chaos, Yoshihashi, Ishii, and Goto. Now keep in mind, this was a non-title match, but they do, however, if Satoshi or Homna or Nagata were able to pick up a pin or win on this match, they do have a right to face the never open weight 6-man championship. So that's always been like that. But man, the match was great. However, there's still that intent. This match kind of shows a bit of who has the strong style spirit in them. I've always seen Yuji Nagata and Satoshi and Homna since they're the veterans. But however, I've mostly with Chaos, I only seen Goto and Ishii as the strongest guys ever. However, you can never deny how strong these guys. I give this one a good one as well. But however, the match goes to Chaos, Yoshihashi, Goto, and Ishii. But of course, post match they continue with the whole who's stronger person, that type of thing that's always been played out. Next match we have is Bullet Club versus Chaos. We have for the Bullet Club team we have Yujiro Takahashi, Geto, and Yado versus Chaos, Sho, Toru Yano, and Kazuchika Okada. This one is still getting close to for Yujiro, Geto, and Yado to take on. So basically, their rivalry is still standing as always. But of course, you cannot deny a lot. Now, this match looks more like it was going Bullet Club's way, but however, they missed one person. That person was, in fact, Toru Yano. He picked up the victory he helped make Sho picked up the victory. But however, while the ref had his back turned, Yado picked up a kendo stick, thinking he was gonna make sure they picked up the win. But it was Toru Yano that gave them the low blow. Gave him the low blow, allowing for Sho to pick up the victory. So basically, it ended with them winning the match. Then we had a 6-man tag team. If you know, this one is between Minoru Suzuki and Shingo Takagi. That will lead them to their match for the Never Openweight Championship match. That will take place at Jingu. For Suzuki joining, for Minoru Suzuki's team, he had Desperado and Doiki. As for LIJ, los Ingobernables de Japón, there was Bushi and Sanada along with Takagi. So this one was still the same old thing. With much of this, I've been seeing that Minoru Suzuki's mainly been focused on Takagi because he wants him to show that you may be a tough guy, but I'm more tougher. But that's always been one of those matches you cannot miss. But frankly, it was Sanada that picked up the victory, allowing for LIJ to win. But we will see Sanada be part, along with Desperado, to take place at Jingu for the KOPW 2020 trophy match, for the Fatal 4-Way match. Next match we have is continuation with the rivalry with Master Wado, Bushi, and Tanahashi, taking on Suzuki-gun members Kanemaru, Taichi, and Zack Sabre Jr. So we all know those guys already set for Jingu. But of course, as always, this one was being played smart for both Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi. Now, there have been moments from Suzuki-gun's Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. to take out Tanahashi's knee out. People were noticing that Tanahashi's knees has been given out on him. But however, they turned the tables on Zack Sabre Jr. They even used that against him, which was effective and kind of allowed them to pick up the victory, even though Suzuki-gun cannot believe it, because Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. refused to give the titles to anybody. They still want to hold on to them, but they have to face someone who is willing to take them off from them. So Master Wado, Ibushi, and Tanahashi took the victory on this one. The main event, we had LIJ members Hiromi Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito facing off against Bullet Club members Taiji Shimuri and Evil, alongside the spoiler Dick Togo. So Dick Togo has always been the spoiler, so you know his deal. But in this match, Taiji was able to hurt Hiromu at the injured shoulder that he had a while back. So basically, it was still unclear whether he will be able to be 100% for their match again between Taichi and himself. So that it's always been the case. So they actually picked up the victory on this one. So it was no surprise to me because, of course, Evil wants to remain champion, but Naito is still trying to recover from that loss that they suffered from Dominion. And that's always been like that. So I've always noticed that. So that's it for now for this one. Now let's go to Jingu that happened today in Japan time. Alright, so we're made it to Jingu. So this match was a big one. This one is more of an outdoor event at a baseball field. Feels like interesting. We've been seeing some events in pro wrestling outdoors. For example, we've seen that with Warrior Wrestling. They've been doing that. AEW been doing at Daly's place, not that far from the stadium. But yeah, it was a pretty good feeling to see that. Now the first match it's Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Master Wato. This rivalry took place ever since Master Wato first appeared in New Japan after his time away from Excursion, where he's been in Mexico the entire time. Kanemaru does not appreciate someone like him. Apparently, he feels that Master Wato has cheated himself in the front of the line against everyone. I mean, Master Wato is one of the most interesting wrestlers that ever come back to New Japan. But of course, there's always that intense jealousy. But I was hoping Master Wato was win. But there were moments I see Kanemaru has been trying to ensure that everything wins in his favor. So he's been using his old trick with the whiskey, the knock him out, or spit whiskey at his eyes, but it did not work. But however, he did use another drastic measure to ensure that he wins. He kind of picked up the pin, which was shocking. I know Master Wato feels disappointed that he lost towards Kanemaru, but it's not the end. If the rivalry continues, then we may see that again in the upcoming event that it's going to take place. So let's move on to the next match. Then we had the King of Pro Wrestling 2020 four-way match between Desperado, Sonata, Toru Yano, and Okada. Now, however, in this particular match, we have two members from Chaos, Yano and Okada. Now, you weren't sure how it's going to, but the way I saw it, it's so bizarre, so insane. I wasn't sure how this was going to play. Now, in everybody's mindset, we all thought the same thing. If you're a New Japan fan, you know what I'm talking about. Now, if you guys don't know, I'll give you guys a crash course right now. Okada's always been a decorated wrestler, 5-time IWGP heavyweight champion, and he has right now, he lost his title to Tetsuya Naito in the winner-take-all match back in January for the Wrestle Kingdom 14 main event. However, Naito, on the other hand, has 2 belts. Kazuchika Okada has no interest in that. He believes this whole thing with the double champ is a load of crap. It's violating the tradition. So he's more of a traditionalist. So he's always been trying to win. But however, each member, I cannot deny Desperado's ability or Sonata. But however, there's one man that the people may underestimate, and that person is Toru Yano. Reason is Toru Yano is a master trickster. So he knows how to fool people. He even tried to do the same thing. What I love about Sonata, I can tell you guys, is he's quiet, but he always applies an infamous move called the Paradise Lock. So he basically has your hands tied up to your feet. You can't get out, but he will kick you on the butt to ensure you get out. And it's not the first time he did it. He's done it with Toru Yano like maybe a bunch of times, and he can't get out of it. But however, the way this match ended was the biggest upset and shocker of them all. Toru Yano low-blowed the leader of Chaos, Okada, and of course pinned him to win the the, the match. However, we all know it should have been Okada, but I don't know exactly how this is gonna go because basically he has to defend that title. I don't know exactly what Okada is thinking. He probably thought that he underestimated him. Who knows? But I'm sure there's going to be hell to pay. Now we go straight to the Never Openweight Championship match. Now you probably ask yourselves, those who are coming into the channel, wait a minute. You said there was a Never Openweight six-man tag. Yeah, there's two different titles of the Never Openweight. A championship belt by itself, where a single competitor, and then there's the six-man, which is the trios title. I'm going to do a discussion on that later on when I get a chance, once I get everything set. So let's talk about this. This one was a match where it takes place with Minoru Suzuki defeated Yuji Nagata. These guys have been at war with each other for a long time. However, the real question is, ever since Minoru Suzuki beat Nagata, what was his next plan? Well, his answer is he decided to challenge Shingo Takagi for the Never Openweight title. This match was one of the best ones I've seen so far, including with Shingo Takagi. If you guys are not a fans of Minoru Suzuki, then you guys need to do a lot of YouTube search, look at his videos. You see why he's called the king of pro wrestling, you know, or we just call him the king. But the way this match was so intense, so brutalized with hard-hitting, strong style stuff. But of course, if you guys don't know this, Minoru Suzuki has studied the Gotch style. Basically, he's a big fan of Karl Gotch, who us in the wrestling, in pro wrestling, who knows Karl Gotch is God in wrestling. So, but of course, we could never forget. The moment I'll never forget is how Minoru Suzuki took out Shingo Takagi with choking him out, but he was ready to do the Gotch style power drive. Before he did it, before he applied it, he looked into the heavens to his hero, and he applied the power driver on him. So that proves that he becomes the Never Openweight champion. This is not the first time he actually won it. He actually beat Goto before, and he lost it to Goto. But this is interesting. You see, if you guys are not fans of Minoru Suzuki, he likes to pick a fight. One of my favorite matches that I like from him is when he faced Jon Moxley. If you guys haven't seen it, look it up. Next match is for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. It's the Golden Ace, Kota Ibushi and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Suzuki-gun, Taichi, and Zack Sabre Jr. Now, many fans already assumed right from the get-go that Golden Ace were going to be able to reclaim back the titles that they lost against them. I mean, it was a pretty good match, even though they did. Tanahashi and Ibushi used the same tactics against Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi because they were trying to do the same thing to them. But I think the biggest surprise was how they applied knee attacks against Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. has been known as the technical wizard. Basically, he's good with putting you in submission moves. But as soon as we thought this match was over in the favor of the Golden Ace with Ibushi and Tanahashi, Zack Sabre Jr. picked up the submission move on Tanahashi and picked up the victory. It was the biggest shock ever. We all thought that it was going to be Kota Ibushi and Tanahashi reclaiming the titles, but it did not go that way. So the real question is, what's going to happen now? So it's still undetermined. Now let's jump into the main event. This is for the double championship, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. The challenger is Tetsuya Naito and Evil. As you know, Tetsuya Naito was the first ever double champion back in January, where he beaten Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight title. But he lost those titles against his former friend and teammate Evil, who won the New Japan Cup and turned his back on Los Ingobernables de Japón, or LIJ, to defect with Bullet Club. But of course, at the same time when this match was going on, Evil has his insurance policy, his Pareja de Togo, to ensure that he wins. Much of the match looked more like Evil was going to win it, because you have Dick Togo by his side. But however, were saying, is Lij going to do anything about it? I'm referring to Shingo Takagi, Hiromu. Oh, I skipped the match. I'll stop right there for a minute. We had the IWGP heavyweight, junior heavyweight championship between Taichi and Taiji Shimori and Hiromu Takahashi. That match was also brutal too. As you know, there have been back and forth between those two. As you know, not too long ago, when Taichi Ishimori won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship a year ago, or was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, against Kushida, and of course it was in Wrestle Kingdom 12 from my note, Wrestle Kingdom 13. And ever since then, during the Best of the Super Juniors, Hiromu won that match. Hiromu beat him for that match, and that caused Taichi to lose that. But at the same time, Taichi actually, Hiromu had to relinquish the title, and they gave it to someone else due to the fact that he could not continue. That title became who I forgot who had it before Hiromu. Oh yeah, Will Ospreay, since he's been considered the best junior heavyweight. But the match was intense, as you all don't know. But of course, I did notice that Taiji Shimori actually tried to hurt Hiromu with his shoulder injury that he gave him a bunch of times. And of course, it worked. It worked in his favor, and he once again is now a two-time junior heavyweight champion. And we'll see how that goes. Now back to the main event I'm talking about, the Double Championship. I keep saying about Dick Togo as a spoiler. Now, however, it's still unclear whether the rest of the LIJ members are going to help him. As you know, Evil has his insurance policy. Dick Togo do all his dirty work and ensure that he stays champion. But the match was so intense, you don't know what to expect. But there was a moment when the referee was taken out. Dick Togo tried to get in the way, but however, Bushi hasn't forgotten what Dick Togo did. He impersonated him back in Dominion to make it look like he was involved. And then Geto shows up too, and all of a sudden, so is Sanada. So basically, Sanada and Bushi took out the trash, both Dick Togo and Geto, and took them in the back. So it became a one-on-one match. Now, that was determination with Naito, if he's determined to fulfill his destiny, because he's been applying his signature move, Destino. So it was pretty amazing how this match ended with Naito not only regaining both titles, but at the same time finding retribution for the loss that he had at the Mini. Naito doesn't like to lose like that. So basically, he finally got his retribution on that. So it ended with him finally getting the celebration. Right when he says, Los Ingorbenables de Japón, fireworks began. That's a pretty good scene. I enjoyed it. I have to say, Naito's like one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. So that's it. So let's move on with the Road to Fighting Spirit Unleashed. Alright, so if you guys don't know this, they're allowing many of the foreign wrestlers in New Japan actually have their matches in US soil, since they have a relationship in LA down there. They are starting to do the Road to Fighting Spirit Unleashed, which is one of their American shows they throw in. They do this down in Long Beach, but since the whole thing with the pandemic happened, it looks like it's not going to happen. But when it started when Kevin Kelly, one of the commentators, was talking to Jay White, asking him if he's worried or confident enough to face his opponent at Fighting Spirit Unleashed. That opponent I'm referring to is Flip Gordon, the mercenary. So, of course, he's not worried that he's going to teach him a lesson, all that. So basically, the reason this whole thing between Flip, it's happening with Jay, was because the Villain Enterprises leader called them out not too long ago, but it never happened. So we're yet to see Marty and PCO. We've only been seeing Brody and Flip, but I can't wait to see more. Now, first match of the night was Jordan Clearwater facing against Danny Limelight. Now, I have been a fan of Danny Limelight for almost 2 years. I think it was in October of 2018. I do know he attended the tryout for the LA Dojo for New Japan not too long ago, and he made his appearances with them on Lions Break Collision course not too long ago, impressing many. Of course, Rocky Romero is impressed by him, that he's considering maybe having him under his wing. It could be a good thing for Danny to join Rocky. Maybe, hopefully, he'll be a Chaos member. Who knows how that plays out. But of course, Danny picked up the victory against Jordan Clearwater. He's not. If you guys don't know this about Jordan Clearwater, he's been trained by Carl Anderson. So that's pretty good at that. But Danny picked up the victory on this one. The next match is an 8-man tag team match. We have Mysterioso, Adrian Quest, Blake Christian, and Barrett Brown versus TJP. Who is this? Clark Connors, Carl Anderson, and ACH. This one was one of those matches you want to see. It's going to be out of control. There are some wrestlers you may have heard, others you don't. Clark Connors, if you guys don't know this, he's a young lion as well, but only for the LA Dojo. So he's the only one there. Carl Fredrickson, a former young lion, but now trying to make a good impression with New Japan now that he graduated under the guidance of Shibata. But the match was great. I enjoyed it. I wasn't too much fond of it, but it was okay. But of course, the victories for this one is Mysterioso, Adrian Quest, Blake Christian, and Barrett Brown. Now in the main event, we had Bullet Club member Chase Owens versus the Darewolf TJP. This match was very interesting. I was completely impressed how this one is. Much of Chase Owens, we've been seeing that he's like one of those guys that loses the match, but it showed a lot of Chase Owens being pushed a little more, even though they're not in Japan at the moment. But it shows Chase does have what it takes to step up his game more than ever. But he picked up the victory. But if you guys notice his gear, it's the same kind of coloring that I saw with AJ Styles when he faced someone in one of his matches for the IWGP title. But it was kind of cool. So I will continue more with New Japan stuff once. As you know, New Japan is going to do the G1 Climax real soon. I will reveal that maybe a little later in the episode. Now, before I go, let me do this real quick. I'll explain to you guys about something about the Thunderdome that I think people need to know about. Okay, so let's talk about the WWE Thunderdome and AEW having fans. Now, some WWE fans are been unhappy recently because they were unable to attend shows. However, ever since the pandemic happened, WWE's been doing their shows in 2 different locations, one in Full Sail, one in the Performance Center. Now, why is one in Full Sail? That's where they normally do their NXT shows. That's always been what they're doing. The Performance Center has served for WWE for Raw and SmackDown, including a lot of their pay-per-views. But recently, they decided to move the location to the Anway Arena in Orlando, which they reached an agreement. But however, the part of the agreement is no fans allowed. Now, many fans were angry from the start, asking why is WWE agreeing? They need to have fans. However, they decided to do a little virtual thing where you get to watch, they can get to see you watching the whole event. However, they'll ban you if you do some things. Now, there was one that I kind of figured I understand. That is when they catch you with an AEW shirt. It's not surprised that WWE has always tell wrestling fans who show up to their venues to take off their shirts, but that caused a lot of controversy on their part, even though it's been spreading like wildfire with Twitter from the very beginning. So if they catch you with an AEW shirt, you're banned from watching the show. And at the same time, if they catch you eating, they do the same thing. They even did the same thing with a guy who was sleeping, and they even showed a picture of Chris Benoit. Someone posted, someone fired Velveteen Dream, and of course, the biggest surprise was Kenny Omega was watching it. Now, people thought it was just a picture, but no, it was really actually him. He actually tweeted this out saying that he was just having a good time, that he didn't think no one would notice. Now, you probably, for you the WWE fans, are like, wait a minute, why is he watching? Why did he sign with WWE from the start? Well, that's the easiest question. The WWE were never going to give him the one thing he wanted. It's not the money, it's creative freedom, because he knows how to give a good match. So if you guys think that WWE should have given that, well, that's their call, not Kenny. Now, however, for all you WWE fans are saying you think it's a little crap that they're not having fans, well, that was the agreement that they made with the Amway Arena. Now, AEW, on the other hand, they have always been trying to find ways not to break the rules, but trying to find a way, how can we make this safer? You know, that's always been one of their cases. I know they've been wanting to have fans. However, they haven't let a limited fans go in. If you look at the Daily's Place, when it goes when you look to the stage, let's say you guys are like on the stage here, right here in this corner, that's where they had some fans. But however, they've been having fans in different locations, like try to separate them from a few feet apart to ensure that they're doing their social distancing. It's always been like that they're doing. But WWE fans saying, wait a minute, why is there allowing fans to do it? Well, it's because they find ways how to do that. They've been looking for ways to ensure. You have to understand, they need to listen to find out, how can we make it safe? Now, if WWE is willing to do that, yes. But however, WWE have been known to, how do I say, not play by the rules because they think they know what to do. They're always all about going big, but we're talking about the safety of the fans who attend their shows. AEW, they care about their fans a whole lot, but that's always the case. If you guys think that if those, for you WWE fans who say they need to have fans there, well, we don't know how that's. We know this thing is not going to last forever, but we do know they'll be back having fans again once the whole thing is over. And I know some people miss it, but it is what it is. Now, so I think you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll be back with more, as just a friendly reminder, you guys, before I sign off. NXT will not have their usual Wednesday night show due to some other programming, such as the NHL and all this other stuff. From what I understand, they're going to have their shows on Tuesday. Be aware that they're going to have a fatal 4-way Iron Man, 60-minute Iron Man match for the winner, who wins the NXT Championship. We got Adam Cole, Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. So you don't want to miss that. And also, to remind you guys, AEW will return back to their usual Wednesday broadcasting. So it will not be head-to-head with WWE. As I talked about this before, they have been doing good even if they're not head-to-head. That's always a good sign. But we do know they will return back to their usual head-to-head type of thing. So I think that's about it for all of you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you think I missed something from these two shows, from both AEW and New Japan, leave a comment down below. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.